Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome. Thank you so very much for joining me. This is a third in a process series for Smash That Small Paper Pad, and then there's a project share, so 4 videos. We are finishing up this card that I gave up on in the last video. I just get tired and sometimes I have to walk away. I think that when you watch videos, you think it all comes together smoothly, and in reality, I stop and start things, and that really helps me. I'll lay stuff out and work on it all week long in the evenings or first thing in the morning. I don't share a craft room with cats anymore. That's tricky if you do. That one turned out pretty cute. The cats will rearrange your projects if you leave it. I used to think, why did I throw this on the floor? I didn't. Now I have these scraps that I like, and what I'm doing is I am cutting them down to 4 inches, probably 4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm putting the tape on the back, and that's going to be my front, as though I just had whole pieces of paper. But then I'm using these peel-offs, and Love from Lizzie in the UK makes these. You can also get them at stamponit.net, which is a US company, and I will link to that in my description below. I think there's going to be a minimum for shipping, but it might work out for you. Now, I had these dog stamps that I wanted to use. This one I colored with Copics all by myself. I mentioned that in the last video. I'm pretty proud. I don't color much. And then since it was on white, I stamped my thank you on white also and just inked the edges. Super simple card, a layout that would work if you have ovals or circles or squares and banners. My phone stopped, so I think I just hadn't cleaned up my phone and it just got too full. That's how the card wrapped up. Then I realized it, restarted it. Now what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, I can make a bunch more of these. Every section that you see laid out is going to be a card. And then I thought I had craft cardstock backs ready to go. One of them's a miscut that's not long enough. So then I decided to come back in and say, okay, I'm going to cut them in bulk. I'm going to cut them quickly, a whole bunch of them, and then start matching up the parts. This paper is sort of a tweener. You can cut 2 at a time, probably on just about any paper cutter. When I do that, sometimes it slips, so I typically only cut 1 piece of paper at a time. That's a skill thing. It's not the paper cutter. It's just I'm not slow enough and careful. I looked at this pattern because I could cover that hole and save it. I don't really like the geometric triangle, so I decided not to use it in my cards. But if you like that pattern, you certainly could. You don't have to cut off the part with the hole in it. You can mix and match and do whatever you want, and you can cover up the hole if you want. I sped this way up because I wanted you to see the concept, but not a bunch. And what I'm doing is I'm just holding the 2 pieces of paper side by side on the cutter to figure out what size they should be, not measuring each one and dinking around in case they were slightly different. Right there, I wanted that leaf pattern. I kept the hole, and so that's an example of another way you could do it. Then I'm coming back with those peel-offs again, and these are the Stamp On It brand ones, and I've gotten better at them. They're still a little fiddly, right? It's a very dainty accent, maybe not for somebody who has hand problems or any shakiness, because you will be frustrated. But just getting a bunch of these ready and using my scraps. These aren't the tiniest scraps, but they are scraps from making the other cards. Then I put one on the craft, then I went to put the other one down, and turns out that one with the heart punched out of it is not a full size. There's a problem with it. That one has a cutout in it too from a die. You can cut stuff out anytime you want and then just layer it in with something else. If I had been really concerned with preserving papers or getting more out of my coppery mirror cardstock, die cut out of it. You can save stuff all along the way. I just didn't need to do that on this. I was just having fun and going along. It's especially handy to do that if you have a paper that you want to layer up and match, but you don't have a bunch of it. Then you don't have to worry about running out. I have lots of that mirror paper and lots of craft cardstock for sure. But one day I must have really thought I was saving stuff. Also, my cutting mats just get destroyed pretty fast, so I like to use my little sidekick. Okay, now I'm just laying them out and playing with things. We're back in my fall ephemera. At this point, we have Happy Mail and all sorts of collections mixed up, random things I made. And I'm laying things out and figuring out, okay, what goes with what and what do I like? And then I will set stuff aside to work on when I'm watching TV. If I need to fussy cut something or glue another layer and fussy cut around that, just little bits. I'm playing with Fall is Here. I don't love it. I don't love that some of the letters are hard to read, but I like the shape of the embellishment as a whole. So I'm just fiddling and playing and trying to figure out, okay, which things do I like? Then I realized I have that squirrel and I am nuts about you. And I found a stray acorn. Blessed, I'm just playing with things and experimenting, moving them around. The blessed clearly has to go on the right side of the card because otherwise it's going to be sideways or upside down. I didn't like it on the orange just because it didn't pop out enough. It didn't do it justice. Give thanks. The color was weird on that, but I liked the two patterns together, like that buffalo check. It just didn't work for me. Then I found a bit of this blue paper and decided, okay, I'm going to layer it up on there. And I glued my pie down right over. You can see how sometimes I'm going to work on 4 cards at once. I'm just grabbing different things and figuring it out. There's no right or wrong. You can do 1 card at a time. You can get out a pile of ephemera and see where the day takes you. Ephemera is just a fancy word for decorations for your cards, by the way. It could be any of your junk is also a nice way that my husband would probably phrase it. That pumpkin pie card is just heavenly. I'm so ready for pumpkin pie. With this wood chip, I was going to use my Beacons glue, and then I decided to use my Barely Arts. Gluing onto glitter paper can be troublesome, but Barely Art is pretty tough. So if the wood chip pops off the glitter paper, then I will have learned from it, but I think it will work. Then I chopped down this sentiment. Lots of times our cut-aparts are all the exact same size because they were in a sheet of paper, right? But that doesn't mean they have to stay that way. We can change them up, mix them and match them. So I just go with how I think it will work best on my card and what size I want. Then I wanted a little more accent, so I laid it down on some of that coppery paper. And for reasons I can't explain, look how many times I'm chopping it. Clearly I'm having some troubles. You would have thought I just cut like a dozen of them. It's okay. Sometimes cutting is hard. Then I lay it down on there and start trying to figure out how to put the stuff back. If you have a layout that you absolutely love, take a picture of it with your phone. Remember, I film with my phone, so I'm busy with it, and I'd have to go find an iPad or something else, and I usually don't care that much. Then I'm struggling because I didn't like the Fall is Here colors. I like the Hello Fall, but I didn't like the orange with that orange. Then I went to this leaf. The sentiment that's on there is about falling leaves, so I went with the leaf. That was my decision. It's just kind of a theme. I will fussy cut that while I'm watching TV and deal with it then. Give thanks. I'm going to fussy cut a layer of blue for that when I'm watching TV. Sometimes I do everything all in my craft room, but if Mr. Crafting and Relaxing is around and we need to watch some TV, like maybe NCIS is going to be on, then I don't want to be left out. I struggled, right? I'm moving the stuff back and forth, and I just want you to see that's okay. It happens to everybody. And then I rotated it, and I think it works. It got a little heavy on the right-hand side, and I'm sure there's a term for that, but just when you look at something and you think, oh, it needs something on the left, that's how I felt about this card. I don't always use embellishments, bling, enamel dots. I skip those a lot. But when I looked at this card, I thought, is it weird that everything is on the right-hand side? The flower and the glue dot, I thought it was going to be the death of me. I do that all the time. The flower kept ripping apart. It couldn't stand up to the glue dot. I think it turned out cute. I also liked that I used that flower that was from Smash Our Stash collab one month. And then I just put some enamel dots on the left. Look carefully at this card in the very front of this container. I never assembled it on video. It must have just been laying there, and so I thought, okay, I'll glue it all together and we'll move on. That's the one that recycled parts from an old card, so I just wanted you to see that. So while the camera was off, I laid out a couple more things, and I used the squirrel, but I cut the tag off of them, and this strip of acorns that was from something else, and then put it with I Am Nuts About You. I have that theme going, and this is probably from, if you count the paper pad, 3 different paper collections, and that is totally fine. Mix and match, do whatever makes you happy. I just really wanted to use that squirrel, and with the tag set up on the top of him, he was pretty tall for a card, and his middle part was boring, so putting the acorn over the tag worked. I added a couple of gold dots to the acorn because I had drawn on the actual squirrel with my gold pen. Now we're putting this card together. I have fussy cut a layer of blue really narrow around the give thanks, fussy cut the pie, and we're just layering it up, bringing in a whole bunch of different stuff that makes me happy. And then I'm putting part of the squirrel tab on the back of that to fill that in so it doesn't flop down a little, just kind of give it a landing spot. And I put the glue on the actual high part instead of gluing it down to the flat part. I'm pretty lazy, so I don't trim things super careful, but I think it works. Then we're back to this one with the leaf. I liked it better at an angle the way I had it. I should have put it on that way, but that's okay. And I'm trimming a piece of paper to fill in behind. I'm at the point where I'm using some cute little scraps to fill it in, but I'm tired of seeing some of this stuff. I should have been more careful and put that crooked. I think I liked it at an angle, but that's okay. You live and learn, and you experiment with things of different sizes. To give you an idea, this was probably 3 to 4 hours total. Maybe more if you count the fussy cutting time, watching TV and that kind of stuff, at least. This is what I had left at the end, and those are the cards I made. I hope that you got some good ideas out of this. None of this is trash to me. I will keep it all, throw it back in my autumn bin, and use it again. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.